Hey everybody, it's Chris Bumbray here again for JOBLO.com with a review of the much anticipated, by some anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog. So, when did Sonic the Hedgehog become such an icon for the 20 to 30-year-old set? I remember playing Sonic the Hedgehog on my Sega Genesis way back in the 90s, but in my ignorance, I didn't realize that the titular blue hedgehog's appeal reached far beyond, with him an enduring icon who's had major games on virtually every platform, in addition to a cartoon series, comics, and now a major motion picture. So much for Sonic being the poor man's Super Mario, which is what my cruel Super Nintendo playing fans used to tease me with back in the days. Thus, when I went to the early morning premiere for this, I was surprised to see only maybe 3 or 4 kids in my theater, but dozens and dozens and dozens of teens and 20-somethings and 30-somethings who all murmured excitedly during the Paramount logo when, instead of the usual stars, we got Sonic's rings. Now, that's what this movie is built around, Sonic using the rings to escape to other worlds, due to everyone inevitably wanting to harness his power of, I guess, speed and energy, I don't know exactly, for themselves. In a brief intro, we see Sonic as a little blue guy get sent to Earth by his owl protector, who we never see again, but I'm told has something to do with his mythology, where he grows up unnoticed for decades, watching the world go by and wishing, well, that he could be a part of things. When one of his tantrums leads to a massive outage of power, he's put in the crosshairs of Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik, so Sonic goes to the one human he thinks he can trust for help, a nice guy cop played by James Marsden, who we know is nice because he's married to a veterinarian played by the beautiful Tika Sumpter, and has a really nice lab that seems to really like him. So I guess that means he's a good guy. Also, he's a crossing guard and helps ducks across the street. And also, he's got a job in San Francisco that, well, if you think he's actually going to take it by the end of the movie and leave his picturesque small town behind, well, I don't think you've seen a lot of movies. Anyway, Sonic's journey to the big screen has not been an easy one. An early trailer rubbed fans the wrong way so badly that the studio redid all the creature effects to what must have been a massive expense and delayed the film about 6 months to give them time to give him an overhaul that brought him closer to how he looked in the video games. Now, I gotta say, maybe they were onto something because the audience I saw this with absolutely ate it up, cheering when Sonic came on screen and at all the in-jokes, which I must admit went way over my head. So, if you're 20 or 30-ish Sonic fan, you'll probably eat this up. And if you've got kids, yeah, you know what, they'll probably dig it too. It's light and colorful with lots of action, but where does that leave the average moviegoer if indeed someone like me is the average moviegoer, which I guess isn't really a thing these days? I'll give it this. Sonic the Hedgehog ain't half bad. It held my attention most of the time, even at an early Saturday morning screening, which I can tell you 100% is not something that happens often. Some things about the movie really worked. Ben Schwartz, iconically John Ralphio from Parks and Rec, was a really good choice to voice Sonic. He's likable and fun, but also not too much to be grating. The wrong voice really would have sunk this movie. I'm talking about somebody like TJ Miller, who would have been, too much. Ben Schwartz is the right kind of too much. I liked him in this part, and I think he was very well cast. James Marsden, also a pretty decent straight man, although they could have given him a little more to work with or some kind of hook that kept his character from being super bland. He's got what I'd call the Beethoven role. If you remember Charles Grodin in the movie Beethoven about the massive St. Bernard, well, congratulations, because you know what? Most folks only remember the dog. Similarly, everyone coming out of this is going to remember Sonic and, of course, well, Jim Carrey. Now, after years and years of being a virtual recluse, working on his surprisingly good art, and following his own muse with the show Kidding and oddball turns in movies like The Bad Batch and Dark Crimes, Jim Carrey, for the first time since Dumb and Dumber 2, is back in crowd-pleasing zany mode. He's actually trying to be funny, and it's a savvy part for the now 58-year-old Jim Carrey to take, as it dials into the nostalgia of folks like me who were weaned on his 90s classics, but also introduces him to a new generation, with him looking remarkably youthful for his age. He's all in as the baddie Robotnik, chewing scenery like it's 1995, with him seeming to channel the Riddler from Batman Forever at times, but maybe toned down just a smidge, and I gotta say, he's got a killer mustache in this one. It's kind of a comeback role for him in some ways, and might do the trick to bring him back into the public consciousness if he wants that. So overall, I would say this is a perfectly serviceable family adventure that does, I have to say, waste some of its supporting cast. Adam Paley could be a really funny guy. He's not given much to do here. Tika Sumpter also seems kind of wasted in the wife role. But overall, I have to say, I enjoyed it. It has some nice eye candy and a popping score by Junkie XL that seems appropriate given its Turbo Hero. Is it a classic? No, but it's more than decent and more than likely the launch of a profitable new franchise for Paramount after what I have to say were a rough couple of years. So I would give this one probably a 7 on 10, but if you're a really hardcore Sonic fan, well, you could probably bring it up a notch or so. So until next time, for JOBLO.com, I'm Chris Bumbray.